A long wing from the Eastern Conference. Part of the Villanova crew. Do they even have a good name for that?
I guess the Villanova Knicks.
Yeah, there it is. The Nova Knicks. That's what it is.
The Nova Knicks without White Dante.
As I brought up, Temple University cannot stand Villanova, but I would take him on the Kings if that meant the Kings would be in a better spot. Today's trade target is Mikal Bridges. And he is quite the interesting case, as Kyle is going to try to get a little nerdy here, and we're going to try to keep him from going a little too far.
Okay, anytime I bring up my D LeBron, all of a sudden it's nerdy.
But that is what it is. And the reason we're here is because, the Knicks, you lose, and this is New York for you. You lose, and now everything is just, Cat's got to go. Mikal Bridges, don't extend him. A bunch is going on. So this is from Alan Hahn from Unsportsmanlike on ESPN, comes on every morning. And this is what Mr. Hahn had to say about the Knicks extending Bridges.
They're going to extend Mikal Bridges with all of the first-round draft picks that they gave up for.
I don't think that's a given.
Really?
No, you can't. Look, Jerry West has always said this, so you don't compound something. But we have to because of what we gave up. You can't worry about it. Those picks are gone. You can't worry about that. It has to be the right fit, the right money. You have to believe it. I'm not saying they won't. I'm just telling you that you're not extending him based on the fact that you feel like you have to because of the price you paid. You do it because you think he's the right fit. You do it because the money fits and everything works and you want continuity. You don't do it because we have to. If there's anybody in that room that might have a hesitation about it and you have a chance to move him and get something for him, you do it.
Interesting.
What did Jerry West always say? You don't compound a bad decision with another bad decision.
That was Alan Hahn from Unsportsmanlike. And it's interesting. And, yeah, by the way, he spells his name. Come on. He spells his name incorrectly, I should just say.
That's the way I spell it.
What do you mean it's the way you spell it?
My middle name is Alan.
I did not know that.
I've mentioned it before, but yeah.
Oh, you did.
It's Alan and Alan over here, except mine is Alan.
So Alan, who spells it incorrectly, Hahn from Unsportsmanlike,
spells it like me,
said that it's not a given that the Knicks extend Mikal Bridges. Here's what he has done. He has been a bit of an Iron Man. He played all 82 games. And even though it seems like it was a down season for Mikal Bridges, it really wasn't compared to his career. 82 games, 17.6 points per game, which is 3 points more than his career. 3.2 rebounds per game, which is a little bit less at 4 rebounds a game for his career. 3.7 assists per game, which is 1 assist better than his career at 2.7. 50% from the field, which is pretty incredible. 50% from the field. He's another kind of mid-range master, if you will, but he can shoot the three ball. Shot it at 35% this season. 37 is his career. Everybody was worried that his jump shot was broken. It is interesting the way he shoots. So, that's kind of part of it. 81% from the free throw line, 84% for his career. And we will get into his defense as well. But yeah, you would not have, I'll tell you this much. If somebody asked me, not that I watched every single Knicks game, but if somebody asked me what I thought Mikal Bridges averaged points-wise this season, I definitely wouldn't have said 17.6 points per game. I probably would have said about 13. It's been a very random season. At one point, I remember I was watching a game later in the season. At one point, he got benched in a fourth quarter for Deuce McBride. So it's been very, very confusing as far as what is going on with the Knicks and, of course, Mikal Bridges. I know you want to get into it, Kyle, so I will just hand it to you. The defense, before I hand it to you, you know what he is to me? Mikal Bridges to me is a version of Cam Johnson in that he just didn't play a ton, right? With the Suns, he had a kind of a good stretch, and then everybody needed a wing, and he just didn't really have to do anything, and his value just skyrocketed without moving a muscle.
Well, yeah, not just not moving a muscle, while changing his game into an offensive-oriented player who didn't do the things that made him desirable before, and then also having all of his friends be on the New York Knicks and be able to say, hey, go get us Mikal Bridges.
So with that being said, now I will let you nerd out on the defense.
It's not nerding out.
It is. I'm letting you do it.
Okay, all of a sudden I just whip out my D LeBron one time, and all of a sudden you won't let me hear the end of it.
Just please, before I change my mind.
Okay, so defensive stats are hard to calculate, but the LeBron stat that we bring up all the time is a pretty good gauge of how good or bad an individual defender is. Like defensive rating is tough because it's more team oriented. But anyways, this is a pretty good stat to just gauge how good of an individual defender you are. And so if you're 0, that means you're average.
Okay.
If you're 1, that means you're like very good defender. If you're -1, it means you're a pretty bad defender. Like Zach LaVine, I think, was like -1.8 or something like that.
Okay.
And we all know Zach LaVine was not a good defender.
Right.
So in 2021 with the Suns, this is the year they went to the finals, Bridges was 1.06, which means he was a very good defender.
Right.
In 2022, which was the year they won 64 games and were the number 1 seed, he was 1.18, which is a real like top of the league level defender. In 2023, which was the year he got traded to Brooklyn for Kevin Durant, 0.25. Still above average, but a drop off.
Right.
His 1 full season in Brooklyn, 2024, -0.81, which means worse defender than Malik Monk. And this past season with the New York Knicks, -0.72, which is only Jalen Brunson was a worse defender in their starting lineup than Mikal Bridges.
But if I'm getting this correctly, slightly better than when he was in Brooklyn.
Slightly better than when he was in Brooklyn, but still bad. So very confusing defensive player, because he's gone from being great defender on the Suns when all they asked him to do was shoot threes and play defense, to average defender in Brooklyn, to below average defender in Brooklyn, to bad defender on the New York Knicks.
And I'm looking here just to kind of break it all down. Obviously, he was on 2. So that season, and this is where kind of the value started changing. Those 27 games in Brooklyn, he averaged 26 points per game. Yes. And that season in total, he averaged 20 points per game. In 2023, 2024, he was at 19.6 points per game. And then this season at 17.6. So he's ever since they've given him legit playing time, right? Besides his last season in Phoenix when he was getting 34 minutes per game.
Well, giving him more offensive responsibility.
Yes. He's never been under 17 points. His last three seasons in the league. Now his defense has kind of shifted, but I, for one, am not necessarily on the train that he just forgot how to defend. I don't have a great explanation for it, but I don't think that you can get the yips defensively.
See, and this is what's tough, is that when he was on Phoenix, he was playing primarily 4 and 3. But on Brooklyn and New York, he's playing primarily 2 guard. So some of it is the offensive responsibility changing, and some of it is he's switched positions like 2 or 3 different times in his career.
Yeah.
And you would think that now on the New York Knicks, where he's, basically their 3rd option, but kind of their 4th, because OG Anunoby is
depending on the day. If certain people are in the crowd, OG might be the 2nd option.
Yeah, Suni Lee there,
and OG's number 1.
OG all of a sudden is your warrior. It's weird that even though this is a closer, because he's gone through a lot of changes, right? He went from being number 4 or really number 5 on a team that won a Western Conference championship in Phoenix to number 2 in Brooklyn to number 1 in Brooklyn to now back to being a number 3, number 4, but the defense didn't correct itself. But he's also played 3 different positions in 3 different places. So it's a very confusing resume in terms of what you're actually getting from Mikal Bridges, because he's played for 3 teams, contending at 3 different times, and playing 3 different positions.
The question is, how bad do you want him? What would you give up to get him? We break down the different trade scenarios when we return. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports. Mikal Bridges, he is up for an extension going into the last year of his contract at $24.9 million. Question is, will he be extended? Obviously, the Knicks gave up a lot to get him, but nobody is safe right now when all you do is get to the measly Eastern Conference Finals. Mikal Bridges coming off 17 points per game, a little less rebounds than he's typically had, only 3.2 rebounds per game, 3.7 assists per game. Really supposed to be, I guess, a 3-and-D guy. And, as far as his age is concerned, he is 28 years old. So I think that's the other question, just as far as he went 10th in the 2018 draft, first round, went 10th. I guess that's the other question. It's, what exactly is Mikal Bridges supposed to be? Right? Some of his nicknames, the Warden, Noodles, Inspector Go-Go Gadget,
Noodles,
String Bean, Praying Mantis, and when he was in Brooklyn, Brooklyn Bridges.
Man, if someone called me Noodles, I would know what to do.
I mean, you're getting slapped if you call me Noodles.
I'm not saying you're getting slapped. I would just be like confused.
Yeah.
What does Noodles mean?
Yeah, Noodles is crazy. All right, Kyle. Speaking of crazy, let's get to some of these trade packages. And yesterday, I think I was out on everything. So let's see if I will actually be in on one of these moves today.
I think we just disagreed on what Jabari Smith Jr.'s value was yesterday.
Yeah.
But if we want to get Noodles, I've put together 3 packages for us. The first one is the standard Mikal Bridges for DeMar DeRozan trade. To get it done, it's just their contracts are very similar. 1 year, $24 million. So you can just swap the 2. Kings throw in their 2026 first round pick. And then I also added a contingent, which is the same for all of these, which is if Bridges signs a long-term extension with the Kings, they'll add another first round pick to the deal. So like if it's only 1 year, they trade DeRozan and a first. If Bridges signs a 3-year extension, it's Bridges for DeRozan and 2 first-round picks.
Let's not forget, Mikal Bridges goes 6'6". He's got great length. That the start of that Celtics series, I mean, who would have thought we'd be having a conversation about Mikal Bridges not getting extended? Well, he had 2 great stops against the Celtics in game 1 and game 2 to get those W's and kind of put the Celtics in a rough spot and the Knicks in a great spot. So look, the D LeBron, the G LeBron, the Z LeBron, that's all fine and good. Mikal Bridges defensively came to play when it mattered the most. I'm doing this deal because, of course, again, if you're the Kings, the only holdup would be, do you think that Mikal Bridges is worth the first rounders, whether he signs the extension or not? As Kyle said, if he doesn't sign it, you only give up 1 first rounder. If he does sign it, you give up another first rounder. He's 28 years old. So he does align with the timeline of everybody else. You're just, again, you're still looking for a point guard separately, but you'd run Keegan at the 4 and Mikal at the 3. That's what we're looking at?
I guess so, but then you're in a tough. So what, does Keon go back to the bench? Because it would be
because you're just saying we have a point guard somewhere out there.
Yeah, you have to get a point guard. Your closing lineup is obviously Malik. Well, I guess not obviously. It's Malik, Levine, Bridges, Keegan, and obviously Sabonis. But the rotations would be interesting to see how they put it together. If they acquired Bridges, who would primarily have to play 3, if they're able to re-sign Jake LaRavia, it makes a little bit more sense. But then you're going for Dennis Schroeder or Chris Paul or someone else as a point guard to fill 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I like Mikal Bridges. I think he's another confusing one because he's a good piece, but as far as the Kings are concerned, you're adding another. I mean, he's a better younger Harrison Barnes type, where it's Jaden McDaniels, right? The same guy, Alexander Walker, Nickeil Alexander Walker. He's better than Nickeil Alexander Walker, but he's in the same breath of those guys. He just might be a little bit better offensively, but that's what we're talking about.
I think people just had visions of him being a 20-point per game scorer who was also the elite defender in Phoenix.
Right.
And that's probably why you're trading the 6 first-round picks, which, granted, none of them are going to be lottery picks because there's like protections and stuff, but you trade 6 first-round picks to get that guy for the hope that he's going to be a 20-point per game scorer who can also play elite defense.
And maybe next season he is. I mean, he was at 17. It's not like he was at 12 points.
Yeah, but he also wasn't playing good defense.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't have a good explanation for the defensive thing, but what I will say is what they paid for is what they got in the playoffs. It didn't end up it didn't end up being a championship, but if he doesn't make those plays early on against the Celtics, they're not in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part about Bridges. He also plays every game. I kind of look at him like Harrison Barnes when he first got to the Kings. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying Harrison Barnes as a 33-year-old where he was kind of playing a role. I kind of look at him like when Barnes first got here and it was him and Fox and Bagley and I think Rashawn Holmes maybe was playing at that point. That's kind of what I think of you're getting with Mikal Bridges at this point in his career.
Let's get to that next trade, Kyle.
All right, so second trade for Noodles is the same deal as before, except instead of DeRozan, it's Malik Monk and Devin Carter going back to New York. So Malik Monk, Devin Carter, 2026 first, and then if he signs the extension, add another first-round pick in there.
No.
Not Devin Carter?
That's too much.
So you like Devin Carter? Because Malik Monk's not as good as DeRozan.
No, he's not. I think Tibbs would love a player like Devin Carter. Devin Carter, well, if DeMar DeRozan was coming home, Devin Carter went to school in Rhode Island, but New York's pretty much home. He gets to go home.
If he had ended up on the Celtics, they would say he was home.
Yeah, Devin Carter gets to go home. Both of those, because to me, Devin Carter is pretty close to a first-round pick, and I get what you're saying because DeMar is better than Malik. Malik is also younger, and I think the Knicks need somebody like Malik for sure. That seems like a lot. So
now we're just back to the Cam Johnson conversation of you wouldn't trade Devin Carter to get the deal done.
No.
Okay. That's totally fair.
I'm doing the first one, of course, but
you're saying the gap between DeRozan and Monk is not worth giving up Devin Carter.
No, simply because of age.
What if I gave you Deuce McBride too?
Then let's do it.
Okay, that's all I need to hear.
But I don't think they would do that. I think
God
they really
blessing me with his body.
I think they really like Deuce.
Deuce is a fine player.
I said the Knicks really like Deuce.
I know, but I'm just saying.
And by the way, every team likes their guys, right?
Yeah.
Every team likes every team likes the guy that they drafted a little low, but is actually able to play in the NBA. Every team likes that guy. We don't know how much they like that guy, but they all say, they like this guy. Of course they like this guy. It's making them look like geniuses.
Yeah, exactly. It's found money, right? No one wants
to like this guy. That's why they drafted him.
Yeah, that's why they've stuck around this long. Which honestly, Deuce McBride, not going to say overrated, but he's a fine bench player.
Leave Deuce McBride alone.
He's no Malik Monk.
They like him.
He's no Malik Monk.
They like this guy. They like how he plays. That's the same thing we saw. You know who they were doing that with? And maybe this doodle will be a dude, right? But that's what I had to turn on one of the days I woke up and Stephen A was screaming at me at 7 a.m. And who is he talking about? Terrence, and he did go in the first round in the 2024 draft. Terrence Shannon Jr. Remember when he had that little stretch with the Timberwolves, and I had to wake up with Stephen A yelling at me saying, "This brother, Terrence Shannon Jr. I like him. He's not scared. And by the way, the Timberwolves, they really like this. They all really like these guys.
They got him for, a late first-round pick, and they don't have a lot of those. So he's going to have to be something.
He played in 32 games.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? I'd take him on the Kings, but
he's going to have to be something at some point.
This brother.
You wanted him on the Kings. They could have drafted him.
They could have.
They chose Devin Carter instead.
He went 27th. All right, what's the last
All right,
package? Last
deal. This is more fun than anything else. Basically same terms as deal number 1, except the New York Knicks decide they want something a little bit more than DeMar DeRozan coming back in their favor. So in this deal, we've got a funky little 3-team trade with the Lakers that will net the Knicks, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and the Kings first rounder. Again, they get another one if Bridges signs the extension.
Okay.
In exchange, the Knicks are sending out Bridges and Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride. They're going to different places. The Lakers get DeRozan, Mitchell Robinson, lob threat for Luka. So 2 birds with 1 stone.
Mm-hmm.
You get DeMar DeRozan for scoring. You get Mitchell Robinson for lob threat for Luka.
And you get rid of Austin Reeves, who Luka hates playing with.
Yeah, get rid of Austin Reeves, get rid of some expiring contracts, and they also get Deuce McBride, the Lakers do. And the Kings, they end up with Mikal Bridges, Maxi Kleber on an expiring deal, and Ariel Hook-Porty, which is just a throw-in for salary purposes.
So the Kings are giving up.
It's the same deal. They give DeRozan a first, and they give up another one if they sign an extension. The only difference is they get Ariel Hook-Porty as a investment and then take on Maxi Kleber's $10 million expiring contract.
I love it. I mean, I think the Lakers maybe are getting a lot back. I don't really love that.
Yeah,
I think the Lakers could really use all of that.
But the Knicks are getting the best player in the deal in Austin Reeves.
Well, that depends on who you ask.
I tried to find a way to get Rui there instead of Maxi because I know how much you love Rui. It's not going to work. They can't get Bridges and Rui.
Don't worry. They're going to get Rui one way or the other. The Masai Ujiri story is incredible. What he's done with the players in Africa, whether it be Pascal Siakam and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that relationship is still paying dividends to this day. So why is it making me worry about the Sacramento Kings? Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.